Hi everyone, it's Chris. Welcome to Firms Consulting channel. Today we're going to talk about another important topic in management consulting, and it is up and out policy. If you are not familiar with consulting jargon, you may be wondering what is up or out policy. It is a HR policy consulting firms have, which refer to predetermined time frames within which consultants get promoted or managed out. In many consulting firms such as McKinsey, BCG, you cannot stay at the same level for too long. The implementation of up or out policy is very simple. If you are perceived as someone who is good enough to become a partner one day, you will be moved up. Otherwise, you will be managed out. I actually found consulting environment to be very similar to MBA environment. The only difference that I noticed, one of the major differences is that in consulting, people usually act in a more collegial way because it is a requirement. You have to be friendly and helpful towards peer consultants on the engagement team, but at the end of each engagement and at the end of every few months, you will be ranked against them to see who is more valuable to the consulting firm. People compete with their colleagues in many jobs outside of management consulting, of course. However, in many other jobs, there is no up or out policy, so people are less competitive. For example, in manufacturing, there is no up or out policy, and people are rarely managed out. You typically will work with 5 to 6 people on a daily basis, and usually none of them will be at your level, so there will be a lot less competition. Comparatively, in management consulting, you are often staffed on an engagement with 2 or 3 people at your level. During the engagement, you will need to be a good team player and help your colleagues, and at the end of the engagement and at the end of every few months, you will be ranked against your peers to see who is more valuable to the firm and who is a partner material and who should be managed out. Today I will share with you 6 insights that will help you navigate up or out policy. Number 1, craft your personal brand by actively managing what you say and do. You have to really filter what you say. Be very careful about saying anything that can hurt you if repeated by others. For example, don't say that you realized that consulting is not for you or that this partner is incompetent, even if those things are true beyond any reasonable doubt. Instead, say things that will raise your profile and worth to the firm. You have to present to the world very smart, credible, reliable, committed, organized, and healthy person. A strong personal brand really matters in management consulting. While in other jobs, people are often forced to work with you. In consulting, you have to prove your worth every day to stay wanted for projects and to keep your job at the next performance evaluation when up or out policy decisions are made. The trick I used to help me progress in my management consulting career by presenting my image in the right way was to pretend that everything I say will be published on the cover of New York Times or Wall Street Journal and everyone will read it. It puts you in the right mindset as you engage with your colleagues. Also, as much as you can, make sure your actions do not leave room for any negative interpretation. Always observe your behavior from a third-person perspective and consider what negative assumptions people may make about you, and then adjust your behavior accordingly. For example, let's assume that you are attending a weekend getaway where the entire practice goes away somewhere to spend time together, do team building exercises, talk about where the firm is going, and so on. And let's assume you are expected to play and bond with your colleagues, and instead you have to vigilantly work on unexpected deliverable that client requested that morning out of the blue. Your first impulse may be to go and work in the dining hall so you can at least be close to your colleagues and to all the fun and games. Don't do it. You obviously cannot announce to all the leaders why you are not participating in the activities. Therefore, to avoid people making assumptions about you, speak to the more senior person at the event or to the project leader to get permission that you can prioritize client work in this particular situation, and then go work in your room where no one else will see you. The less people see you, the less people will assume that you are not a team player and you are not wanting to spend time with your colleagues, but instead answering emails. By working while everyone is playing and bonding, you are doing something that is against the group norm. And if you have to do it, make sure that as few people as possible have an opportunity to notice it. This is important because unfortunately some people will make negative assumptions about why you are not participating in the activities. I'm actually describing to you a real-life example from my own career. I was almost rejected to be a part of very important engagement because a principal leading that engagement was convinced that I was not a team player. I asked him why he thought I was not a team player given we never worked together. And he said, well, we never worked together, but a few months ago when we were doing this event, this team getaway, you were the only person who were answering emails while everyone else was bonding with their colleagues. This is an example of how you really have to protect your reputation, because by the time you have an opportunity to correct their perception, and even if you are lucky enough to have an opportunity to correct what they're thinking about you, they may have already taken away some opportunities from you. It is important to remember that everything we say to the client or to the team enhances or damages our personal brand and can be used to evaluate us in formal and informal performance evaluations and other situations. I know that managing your personal brand is a lot of work, but this is what it takes to get promoted. Number 2, consulting is harsh for friendships. It is important to give some thought to how you're going to manage relationships with your colleagues. In consulting, more so than many other careers, you are directly compared to your peers. So becoming friends with your colleagues, with your peers, may make your life challenging and distracting, because during performance evaluations, you and your colleagues will be competing for the very same promotion spot. If you've ever been an MBA student, you will be much better prepared for what you're getting yourself into when you go into management consulting. MBA schools expect people to work in teams and build relationships with their classmates. And yet, while there is no up or out policy, you are ranked on a curve for each course. For you to succeed and be ranked above average, many of your classmates will have to be ranked average or below average. So you can see it's a very similar situation. Given the importance of grades to get a good job during recruitment, during MBA, and for options you will have after your MBA, every time you're helping your classmate, you're basically making your profile weaker, because you will be ranked against that person during evaluation. Given the importance of grades during your recruitment, and also for opportunities you will have after your MBA, it is not difficult to see that it's very hard for people during MBA to be helpful to their classmates, because they are competing with those classmates for those very few spots of being above average performers. And this is actually very unfortunate to me. I think that it would be much better if, instead of being ranked on a curve, people were ranked based on their knowledge, their contribution, their expertise, and then everyone, if they wanted to, could have been above average based on their capability and not based on a curve. And in management consulting, we have to deal with a similar situation. Helping our peers to succeed will often mean taking away from our own success. Not only in direct sense in terms of opportunity cost of time and effort, but also in indirect sense. If your colleagues will be rated higher, you quite possibly will be rated lower. And those that are rated lower are often casualties of the up or out policy. So after much consideration and many disappointing experiences, I actually decided to stay away from friendships at work. Of course, there is no right or wrong way to manage this. You will have to make this decision for yourself. Also, if a colleague deliberately takes credit from you or makes you look bad, my advice is stop trusting this person and don't give this person a second chance. Good people expect best from people around them, and that is a wonderful quality to have. However, if someone signals to you that they are a jerk, believe them the first time. They are once and for all in a don't trust category. You of course have to continue to play a role of a great team member, but don't trust this person and never let this person hurt you again. Watch your back. I usually give people too many chances. This is actually one of my biggest weaknesses. Someone would do something bad towards me and then be very nice and apologetic, and I will give them a second chance and then third chance and fourth chance, only to be disappointed again. So please learn from my mistakes, not from yours. There are a lot more people on this earth than we will ever meet. over 7 billion of them. We're investing in relationships with people who already showed us that they do not worth the effort. There are so many more people out there who are considerably more worthy of our time and friendship. Number 3, strategically select key deliverables. It is important to exercise control over which pieces of work you're going to take responsibility for when you can. This gives you a greater chance to get a reputation for somebody who does a very high quality of work and to get higher performance evaluations during engagements. At the beginning of the consulting engagement, I actually take a look at the project plan and think about what deliverables, what work streams I want to be responsible and accountable for. And I pick work items which are important and which I know I can do well. And I wait for the opportunity to volunteer for that piece of work, and more often than not, you will get an opportunity to work on it. Most of your colleagues will not take the time to go through the project plan in advance and decide what items they want to be accountable for. So by showing this initiative, you're already putting yourself in a situation where you will have much higher chance to actually get the work you want assigned to you. And one of the key criteria I use when I decide what work items I want to be responsible for is whether I can find great examples of similar work so that I know what great looks like. Within consulting firms, we often have access to prior deliverables. We usually cannot use actual content, but we are able to see what is an example of a great deliverable of that type of work. And you may be able to use the design, you may be able to use it to brainstorm some ideas. You may be able to model the structure of the past deliverable that you think is an exceptional example. This saves a considerable amount of time and helps you stay on the right path. Of course, if you're delivering a particular piece of work, you want to come up with original, amazing insights tailored to your specific client. But it does help to see what great looks like. In other words, I use past work to determine benchmark for excellent. And if I did not have this benchmark, it will be very difficult for me to know what good looks like and what I should be aiming for. Another important criteria I use when selecting a deliverable is I try to select deliverables that are crucial to the success of the engagement. Firstly, it ensures that my efforts will be worthwhile because this deliverable really does matter to the team. This will also ensure that my work actually will be reviewed by senior people and they will see how much effort I put in and that I do go above and beyond what is expected. Number 4, ensure that you're perceived as a great team player. It is important to always be on the lookout to help your engagement team to excel. However, try to ensure that what you do in this regard is noticeable to your superiors. This is not about making others look bad and showing off. It is about transparency and fairness. Also try to get an engagement with great leaders who are known for giving credit where it's due. This will allow you to focus 100% on your work and not on ensuring that it will be recognized. We also need to remember that anything we do has an opportunity cost. As you probably know, the opportunity cost is the best alternative thing we could be using our time and other resources for, instead of what we are doing. Therefore, we just cannot afford to do things for which we are not going to get credit. Number 5, and this is probably the most important advice, perform at the next level. I think it is important to play a role of a one level up in addition to playing your own role. For example, if you are an associate, try to also play a role of an engagement manager. And what I mean by that is try to display characteristics, capabilities of an engagement manager while you're also performing your associate responsibilities at the highest level. Obviously, it is very important to do so in a respectful manner. Don't step on anyone's toes. But if you are performing at the next level, this is the most sure thing, provided everything else is good, provided you are seen as a good team player, capable, great problem solver, great with clients. If you are performing at the next level, this is the best thing you can do to maximize your chances that you will be promoted instead of being managed out. You need to display qualities that show that you are ready for a promotion. So when your performance is discussed and up or out decision is made, you are considered to be an up material. And number 6, use information to your advantage. This advice is where you will need to really use your best judgment and common sense. Obviously, you cannot keep away information that is important for the success of your firm and success of your client. But there is certain information that you may come across that will give you competitive advantage, that you are not required to share, that will not hurt the client, will not hurt the firm, but will help you and your career. And in such situations, it is probably the most smart decision to keep that information for yourself and use it as a competitive advantage. Remember that everyone has some kind of competitive advantage. This person may have very wealthy parents with amazing connections that will help this particular consultant to be much better at sales. This individual may have way above average capabilities in terms of his natural problem-solving abilities, how fast he thinks, and so on. Information you become aware of is part of your cards in life, so keep it close to the chest. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are part of a very large consulting firm and you came across information that there's a new opportunity available to be part of a global initiative. Instead of going and telling about it to all your peers, you can use this time and effort to actually put your best foot forward to become a very attractive candidate for that opportunity. If that is what you want, if you want to be part of that initiative, instead of sharing information with all your colleagues about how this opportunity is available, you can use that information for yourself and use the fact that other people don't know about it yet and prepare the best application you can to put your best foot forward, network with the right people, put yourself in front of the right people so that you can get the best chance to be considered for that opportunity. Remember, in consulting, there are very few promotion opportunities available, and every peer colleague you have probably wants the same spot that you want. It's a competition and not a game where everyone gets a medal for participation. Now, the important thing is that up or out policy is actually a good news for you. Don't be disappointed that the environment is so competitive in management consulting. There are more pluses than minuses in this situation. You get to work with ambitious, strong, and like-minded individuals. I mentioned it before, you probably heard it a million times, that some people say that we are an average of 5 people we spend the most time with. Well, we spend a lot of time with our colleagues, so it really pays off that we get to work with such amazing, outstanding professionals that we can learn from and grow faster with. And because of the up or out policy, if you play your cards right, if you work hard and smart, you will most likely be promoted within 2 years. And if you are very good, you may be promoted even faster. Whereas in other careers, it is easy to get stuck at a certain level for several years. Some people get stuck there for decades. They even move from company to company at the same level, and they just cannot break out of it. And in many consulting firms, the only option is up or out. So if you are good, it's actually good news. In conclusion, even though management consulting firms have up or out policy, I think we should be very friendly to our peers. I think we should be good team members. I think we should remember the big picture, that at the end of the day, your career doesn't end with McKinsey or BCG or Bain or Deloitte. It's just the beginning of your career. And you need to remember what is the long-term focus, and the relationship you may be able to build may be totally worth much more than being promoted. So I certainly want you to keep that in mind. Overall, even though management consulting firms have up or out policy, I still believe that we should be great to our peers. We should be friendly, we should be helpful, we should be good team members, and we should bring as much value as we can to our team. After all, I think we always should try to be the best person we can be, the most amazing person we can be. However, we need to remember that we need to do visible and important pieces of work. Don't say things that may take us down. And always think about how we can make an engagement more successful. Most importantly, we should not allow our job to define our identity. You know that you are one of a kind and you have a lot to offer to the world. And if, as a result of some very unfortunate chain of events, you will be pushed out of the firm, don't let it take you down. You are born to matter, to make a huge difference and make this world a better place. And if the firm could not recognize it, it is their loss and your gain. It means you were knocking on the wrong door, in which case it is best to leave the firm before you invested too many years of your life. It will allow you to find your path while you still have plenty of time on this earth. Find something that brings you joy and where you can make a real difference. As Steve Jobs once said, we don't get a chance to do that many things, and everyone should be excellent. Life is brief and then you die. And we have all chosen to do this with our lives. So it's better be damn good. It better be worth it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts about this video, if you have any ideas, suggestions for the upcoming videos, upcoming episodes we're going to make for you. And please like it, subscribe. It shows us that you guys find these videos helpful and gives us energy and excitement, enthusiasm, motivation to do more videos like that for you. So I'm looking forward to see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you will have a fantastic week.